What is up, guys? This is Nightmare, and today I have a new build video for you. This is my Stamina Dragonite Medium Armor Dragonite build. I'm naming this build Recycled because of the armor sets I am using. I am recycling some of my old gear that I have had on my Stamina DK in the past that were best in slot or used to be best in slot for PvE Stamina DPS. Reworked it a little bit, tweaked it, and this is the build I came up with. Now, little disclaimer before I start the build. Take this build as seriously or as whatever as you want. If you're looking for a min-maxed 4,000, 5,000 weapon damage, 53,000 max stamina, OP one-shotter stamina knight or stamina dragonite build, this is not it. This is something that is cost effective, it's a lot of fun to play, and it's still very effective, which I'll be able to show you guys later in some gameplay of Battlegrounds. I'm doing lots of damage with this build, and the sustain is pretty decent. It definitely takes a lot more experience to be able to sustain with this kind of recovery, but it's a lot of fun, and you're definitely not missing out on much with this build. It surprised me a lot. Now, before I get into the gear, I just wanted to say I'm mostly known for my Stamina Nightblade builds, I guess. Those are my most famous, and I have the most builds of a Stamina Nightblade on my channel. However, my Stamina Dragonite is my baby. I have played Stamina Dragonite more than I have played any other class. It was my first character. This is my first character, so yeah, it's the class I have the most experience with. So let's get right into the armor. Alright, so first off, before I even say anything, I am wearing no impin armor pieces, all divines. And that'll make sense as soon as I show you the first set. First set, Twiceborn Star. Now, you guys know Twiceborn Star. Used to be best in slot PvE DPS for both Magicka and Stamina for a very long while, back in like 1.6, 1.7 patch, something like that. And then the whole armor penetration meta came in, and Twiceborn Star just kind of fell out. But it's actually still performing very well in PvE, not best in slot, but in PvP it's kind of cool to use. So we got a sharpened 2H sword. I have a flame damage enchant on here. You can use Oblivion, Shock, Poison, whatever. I went with Fire because Dragonite passives, you have increased damage on your Fire or Poison status effects. So I'm already getting Poison status effect from abilities, and I want to have a Fire status effect also. So Greatsword of the Twiceborn Star. And I'm using a bow of Twiceborn Star, also sharpens, and this is where our weapon damage enchant is going to be. Alright, now like I said, all divines is going to be on our armor pieces. Now, the reason why we do that is because 2, 3, 4 piece, we get max health, max stam, max magic. The 5 piece bonus allows us to have 2 Mundus stones. Now, divines is going to increase the effect of our Mundus stones, so having as many divines pieces, which is max 7, is going to be the most beneficial. It's going to increase our Mundus stones, which is what we are focusing on, 2 Mundus stones. Again, if you've crafted Twiceborn Star in the past, it's most likely already going to be divines, so no need to recraft it. Again, recycling your old sets. If you still have your Twiceborn Star, you can do this. Alright, so I got a chest head. I have a Molokina medium shoulder divines. All these are going to be stamina enchants, by the way. Now I went with the Kina shoulder just for extra weapon damage. And our belts and our legs are also going to be Twiceborn Star. Now, I'm using a 5-1-1, so 5 medium, 1 heavy, 1 light. Ideally, you would want to have a belt light and a chest heavy. However, I already had 5 pieces of Twiceborn Star made, and just to show off me recycling it and still being effective, I did not have the hands or feet, so that's what I used my second 5 piece for. So light gloves, because gloves have the lowest armor and boots have the higher of these two. So again, divines, stamina enchants, and we were using Impregnable. Now, Impregnable gives us the same 2, 3, and 4 piece. Max health, max stam, max magicka. So health is very nice on this build for being medium armor. Crit chance is going to be pretty low since we don't have any crit chance on our body, but that is no problem. Now, Impregnable, this is what allows us to go all divines. As you can see there, 2400 crit resistance. That is not gold. 2400 crit resistance is pretty much just as much as or more than running full impin on your armor. So we're using Impregnable to make up for using divines on the body. 511, I'm just having that set up because you can with this build. Crafted Twice Born Star, you can make it light, medium, heavy if you want, and Impregnable even comes in light, medium, or heavy. So I'm making the best use of that, especially since I have Undaunted level 9. If you don't have Undaunted level 9, I would just say use your medium, 7 pieces medium. That's going to give you more sustain. This is just going to give you more health, more magicka, and more stamina. And then for our jewelry, Impregnable, all robust. Now, we have to have a greatsword and a bow, Twiceborn Star. If we had a greatsword, Twiceborn Star, and our bow, another 5-piece set, and then we used a 2-piece monster set, it would not work because we would lose our Twiceborn Star bonus. As soon as we lose the Twiceborn Star bonus, we lose our second Mundus Stone, and then we have to go pick it up again. So that is how we have this set up. Let me go over drinks real quick. Dubious Chimeran Throne. This is pretty much a must. It's going to give you stamina, which you're going to need. Recovery is very important, and the max health is also important. If you don't use this, you can use the Hrothgar max health, max stamina food. However, you will lose 3,000 max stamina. And then potions, slottable items. Here we go. Potions, I just use junk stam potions, these essence of weapon power potions, or if you've seen my other stamina nightblade builds, I use the immovable pots. You can use those too. Okay, so let me go over my abilities next. Alright guys, so for the skills I'm going to be using on my Stamina Dragonite, before I get into the skills actually, I just want to say this is a recycle build, like I said, and this can be recycled on any class. You can use this on Templar, Dragonite like this is, Nightblade, Sorcerer, Warden, anything. You can even do this on a Magicka build if you wanted to. And I'll go over the Mundus Stones you can choose later on when I go over my max stats. So let me go over these skills real quick. Now, Critical Rush. This is your gap closer, and this does very good damage. Now, if you wanted to take the Shadow Mundus Stone, this would do a lot more damage because Critical Rush is a guaranteed crit strike. And then Critical Rush just scales off of the distance traveled by 68%. So the further away you are, the more damage your crit rush can do. I've seen this hit people for like half their health on a low health, low armor target. So this is very strong. Very hard hitting gap closer, which is very nice. Okay, so main CC and main spammable ability. Timing this is key. It has a 1-second cast time, which is not like a Nightblade, which Nightblade surprise attack is an instant cast. Dizzying Swing has a 1-second cast time, but it hits like a truck. If you connect this on the target, they're going to feel it, and you're going to be able to punch them if they do not block it, dodge roll it, or whatever. So 13k physical damage, hard hitting, and it knocks them back. Very nice. So this is your hard CC and your main damage source built into one ability. So now that we don't have a ability slot for like a main CC, we have one open for another damaging ability. Now I choose to use Venomous Claw. I've seen other Stamina Dragonites use like Evil Hunter if they're in heavy armor. That's just going to give them more weapon damage and more crit chance, 10% crit chance. However, if you are using potions constantly, you can get that 10% crit chance that way. Major Savagery, I believe, is what the buff is. Yes, Major Savagery. Weapon critical by 2,000. So if you're using potions, you can get that buff that way. But Venomous Claw, I love Venomous Claw. This is going to be one of 2 dots we will be using. This is the hardest hitting single target dot, hands down. As you can see there, 4k initial hit, and then you get 14,000 poison damage over 10.5 seconds. Buffed up with Rally, this goes up to over 15,000. Now, every 2 seconds, it's going to increase its damage by 12%. So, that's even more damage over time. This is just huge. I love this ability so much. And usually I can, like, I'll crit rush in and apply this right away. Or if I hit them with the Dizzying Swing and they're still pretty high health, that's when I'll apply Venomous Claw to them. Alright, so, executability. This is going to be our Reverse Slice. You can also use Executioner. I choose Reverse Slice for the AoE splash damage. The Execute is just going to ensure kills. However, I am getting lots of kills just from Dizzying Swing. They're at health, half health, and then I can Take Flight, and Take Flight just nukes them very freaking hard. Main buff is going to be Rally. Rally is a must ability, and this is why we use a two-handed weapon, our two-handed sword. This is going to be our main 20% weapon damage buff, Major Brutality, which is a must. It's also a heal over time and a burst heal. So survivability, increasing your damage output. If you're not using Major Brutality buff on a stamina build, you're just not going to be able to hit hard at all. Okay, so next we have Take Flight. I already explained this, but this is pretty much just going to work as an execute. You can use it as an initiating tool, closing the gap over very long distance. Has so many different uses. Can't be dodge rolled, which is very nice. I prefer this over Dawnbreaker Smiting. It does a little bit more damage, initial damage. However, the Dawnbreaker Smiting has that huge damage over time. I find myself being able to completely nuke people with Take Flight anyways. I just think it looks more badass also. So this is what secures kills for you most of the time. Being able to combo that with Dizzying Swing, like I said, and to Take Flight, they have a little bit of health left, you Reverse Slice them. Okay, so next up, Bow Bar. So Poison Injection is going to be our second of 2 dots. This is going to be an executing below 50%. This can crit for over 6k on targets below 25%, so if they're sitting at low health and they're not healing, this is going to just chew away at their health. It's also what I usually like to apply to my targets at range before I gap close, just to help apply pressure. These 2 dots together are enough with the burst damage to pretty much pull off lots of DPS and lots of kills. Okay, so Shuffle, this is a high cost, high rewards, stamina buff, pretty much. Major Evasion gives you 15% dodge chance. This is just going to help your survivability. A must-have, I believe. Back in the very long day, I used to not run this, and then I started using it and just realized how important it was. I used to think, oh, Major Evasion, it used to be 20%. Now it's 15%, but 20% dodge chance doesn't seem like a lot. Trust me, it's a lot. You need this ability. Okay, so now Volatile Armor. This slot is my flex slot. I was playing around with Flames of Oblivion, Reflective Scales. I was playing around with a couple other things. But Volatile Armor is pretty much your go-to ability. This is going to give you physical resistance and spell resistance by 5,000, Major Resolve and Major Ward. So this is pretty much just going to make you tanky. Now I choose Volatile Armor over Hardened Armor because of the AoE damage it puts out. As you can see here, I just pull my camera out. That area right there is the AoE from Volatile Armor. Now it doesn't do a lot of damage, and I'm not using it for its damage. I'm using it to pull Nightblades out of stealth. I don't know how many times Nightblades just stealth right up on top of me, or they get away, and I'm like, okay, they think they're going to be fine. I'll just either dodge roll up to them and pop my Volatile Armor if they or if they cloak right on top of me, I'll switch to my bow real quick, pop volatile armor, and pulls them right out of stealth. At that point, once you pull a Nightblade out of stealth, they usually kind of freak out a little bit. So that's usually enough time to hop on them and engage. So that's why I'm using volatile armor the most for the major buff and pulling Nightblades out of stealth. Igneous Shield. Now, this got kind of a nerf, as Earth and Heart ability doesn't really restore as much stamina. Before it was restoring 5% of your max stamina. Now it's only restoring about 3% of my max stamina. So as you can see there, 81% goes up to 84%. So a little bit less stamina return from Igneous Shields, but it's okay. It still helps us sustain pretty well as long as we have Magicka, which is why I put a little bit more points into Magicka recovery with champion points, just so I can get my volatile armor and Igneous Shield more. Now Igneous Shield, nice little damage shields. Now damage shields can't be crit, so that's good against Nightblades. And the Major Mending is the main reason why you use this on a Dragonite. Major Mending increases your healing done by 25%. Usually your combo is going to be before you cast Vigor, you Igneous Shield, and then you Vigor. Simple as that. Vigor, Vigor is your main or second heal, I guess. It's your heal over time, heals for a very lot. You're comboing your Vigor with your burst heal from Mount Rally to keep you alive, pretty much. And then for my ultimate, I'm using this simply for the passive stamina recovery by 15%. You do not want to cast the Werewolf ultimate, because if you cast your Werewolf ultimate, you will lose your weapons. If you lose your weapons, you go down to 4 piece twice burnt star, thus losing your second Munda Stone. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah, so Werewolf. You don't have to have it. If you aren't a Werewolf, that is fine. You can choose to use Flawless Dawnbreaker for the increased weapon damage by 5%. You can use that on the bow, or you can use the other morph of Magma Armor, Corrosive Armor. That's going to be a defensive ultimate, but I find myself that Magma Armor costs 200, Take Flight costs half that, so it's just more beneficial for me to use Take Flight. Alright, so let me go through passives real quick. Of course, we're going to take all these. Now, Combustion is what I was talking about with the Flame enchant on my sword. Increases damage if you're burning and poison status effects by 66%. So we can get poison status effect from Venomous Claw and Poison Injection, and we can get our burning status effect from the Fire enchant on our sword. Warmth, this is going to give you a slow on the enemy whenever you hit them with the Ardent Flame ability. That is our Venomous Claw. This is increasing our damage done, correct? Yes. Damage by 3% and duration by 2 seconds for our Searing Strike. World and Ruin is poison and flame, area damage, area effect damage. We don't really have any of that. Iron Skin is blocking. Burning Heart increases healing received while a Draconic Power ability is active. So, while Volatile Armor is active, we get increased health recovery. As you can see, about 400 there. And we are... That's not right. Pretty sure it's supposed to buff it. Well, that's awkward. Am I doing something wrong? Increases healing received. Oh, healing received, not health recovery. Duh. Okay, so healing received by 12%. So having your volatile armor up while you heal yourself or you're getting healed, it's just going to increase your healing received. Sorry about that. Here's the health recovery. Increases health recovery by 5% for each Draconic Power ability slotted. So, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then Skilled Armor just gives us more spell resistance. Eternal Mountain. You're going to take that Battle Roar is the very unique ability that Dragonites have that also got nerfed very hard. So whenever you cast an ultimate, you get some resources back. Mountain's Blessing is also got nerfed this patch. Or Helping Hands got nerfed is what I was thinking of. This is going to restore stamina whenever you use Earth and Art ability. Mountain's Blessing gives us minor brutality, so a little bit more weapon damage, which is going to be nice. Two-handed abilities, we're using all of those, and bow abilities, we're using all of those. Light armor. So since I'm using one light armor piece, I just took these passives just for increased magical recovery and magical sustain. Medium armor, we're wearing 5 medium, so all these are a must. And heavy armor, I'm taking these 3 because I have one heavy piece on also. Again, if you don't have the skill points, the light and heavy armor passives are the least needed, and if you're wearing 7 medium, all you need are these. Fighters Guilds, you can take all those if you're using Dawnbreaker Smiting. And then I'm using 511, so you want your Undaunted Metal. Again, if you don't have Undaunted 9, don't do 511, it's not worth it. Assaults, and then racial passives. So I'm Khajiit. I just prefer Khajiit the most. It's my most favorite stamina race. Other stamina races you can use are Redguard, you can use Orc, you can use Imperial if you choose to. Wood Elf is going to be really good for stamina recovery. What else is there? Argonian for healing received is also really good. I've seen some people do that. Redguard, Orc, Khajiit, Wood Elf. I don't think I'm missing anything. Dark Elf you can do also. So I went with Khajiit's very nice because we get increased weapon critical by 8%. So we don't get any crit bonuses, but we do get it from Khajiit. And then if you have Alchemy 50, just take Medicinal Use. Alright, so next I'm going to go over my champion points. Alright guys, so for my champion points, it's kind of simple. Again, keeping in mind the jump or the jump points, whatever they're called. So we want to be as close to like a flat percent as possible. It rounds down no matter what. Alright, so 64 into Mighty for 13% increased physical and poison damage, which is nice. We have lots of physical and poison damage. 40 into Thaumaturge for 16% increased damage over time. I do have 2 dots, and I have the strongest dot in the game, so I want to make use of that. If you're not going to use Venomous Claw, take like half of the points out of Thaumaturge and put them into Master at Arms. Master at Arms, I have 40 for 16% increased healing done. This is going to help our Crit Rush, our Uppercut, our Executioner, our Take Flight. So Master at Arms is very strong. It's a new passive they put in for Morrowinds. So take that. 40 into Precise Strikes. I'm probably going to take some points out of here just because I don't have that much crit chance. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to go down to 12.08, I think. Let's see. 20 for 9%. And then I'm going to put... Let's do 51, so 19 there. And then I'm just going to throw the rest 7 into Blessed, why not? And then the rest into Piercing. Okay, so 20 into Piercing for 2,500 extra physical pin, 51 Master at Arms, 19% extra direct damage, and 7 Blessed for 2% increased healing done. It's not a lot, but hey, whatever. Now, for my Nightblade, I usually put a lot more in here. I don't put as much into Blessed because I have Major Mending. So that's why I did that. 20 Ironclad, that's the counter to Master at Arms, so 9% reduced direct damage taken. 7 into Medium Armor Focus, increased physical resistance. I just threw that in for junk points. What I had left over, I threw into there. 1,000 crit resistance. That's going to get me to the quote-unquote hard cap for crit resistance. Someone told me there's not a crit resistance hard cap, which is true. That's because there are crit chance multipliers like Shadow and passives, Templar and Nightblade passives. However, if you're going against someone who has no passives or any multipliers to the crit chance, If you have 3400 critical hit resistance, if they crit you, you won't take any extra damage. So that's pretty much how that works. However, they have Shadow or Nightblade, Templar passives, whatever there is. If they crit you and you're at the hard cap, the quote-unquote hard cap, I guess, for crit resistance, you're still going to take a little bit extra damage for that. But being at 3400 weapon crit resistance is a freaking lot. So it's good. 20 into thick skins, reduce damage over time by 9%, and then 49 for 11% damage reduction across the board. And 20 quick recovery for 7% increased healing received. Alright, so Green Tree, 20% reduced break free. This is good. You're going to get stunned a lot in Cyrodiil. You're going to get locked down. Breaking free is going to be important. 27 into Siphoner. Kind of talked about this a little bit in past videos, but this is kind of like poisons being built into your champion points. Now, it gets applied whenever you light or heavy attack, or light attack and or heavy attack weaving in between our abilities anyways. So you're going to reduce, or you're going to steal, reduce, decrease, whatever word you want to use, their recovery by 7%. So this is very good. 64 Mooncalf for 13% stamina recovery, 32 Arcness. Like I said before, I went with more points into magic recovery just so I can have more volatile armor, more of the Igneous Shield. And Igneous Shield restores stamina. So because of our, what are they called? Diminishing returns. Diminishing returns has been affected, so you get hit a lot harder by it by going over 50. So I go to 64, and I could go more into Mooncalf, but I'm not going to get as much percentage out of it. So I want to get 8% for magic recovery, and I can still use that magic recovery as magic dump into stamina. So that's why I went that way with that. 56 tenacity, heavy attacks are going to help you restore stamina. And then 11 tumbling, dodge rolling around is kind of the way you reduce a lot of damage in medium armor. So that is what I decided to go with my champion points. Things may still be tweaked a little bit in the future. However, this is a very strong setup. Okay guys, so I want to show you my buffed up stats real quick. I am in Cyrodiil. I'm pretty sure I don't have any Cyrodiil buffs. Let me just make sure. No, I do not. Alright. So, with Rally, I got Volatile Armor for my resistance, and Igneous Shield is going to buff, give me Minor Brutality. On my 2H bar, I have 3400 weapon damage. I have 1600 SAM recovery, 37 weapon crit. Have 20,000 spell, 18-ish thousand physical resistance. You can see there that's the hard cap for crit resistance, 3,400, just a little bit over that. That's okay. 2,300 or 23,000, excuse me, max health, 12,500 max magicka, and 33,000 max stam with 575 magic recovery. All right, so on my on my bow bar, excuse me, my stam recovery goes up to almost 1,800. That is because of my werewolf passive. And my weapon crit goes up to 42. I don't think I have a precise bow. That's odd. I don't know why my weapon crit is changing on my bow bar. Oh, because I'm stupid, that's why. Bow passives. You get increased weapon crit. Alright, so that explains that. Sometimes I forget things. There's a lot to remember in ESO. Alright, so let me just go on to the series real quick. I'm just gonna hit on some things, kind of show you guys how I go at a fight. If I can find something to kill. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed the build. If you haven't checked out my Stamina Nightblade build on how to make your own Stamina Nightblade, definitely go check that out. I'm going to do the same thing for Sorcerers, DK. DK I'm going to do next since I have this build now. And then Templar. I'm still doing a little bit of testing on the Templar. Not sure if what I have on there now is what I like or not. But we will see for that. Alright, so let me just go over kind of how I open it. Open on a target here. Now on this Banelord, heavy attack, go into a poison injection, crit rush. Now, as you can see there, we got to do a lot more with DK because of your charge time on your dizzying swing. Is you're gonna have to get to their back. Now, what I mean by getting to their back is you get to the target. You want to always be trying to get to the back of your opponent. Now, with Nightblade, it's not really as important because you have a direct damaging ability. But as long as you're at someone's back, they can't target you. So let me show this again. As I crit rush, as soon as I'm doing this, I'm trying to get to my opponent's back. As I get to their back, I'm charging my dizzying swing. Alright, so again, heavy attack, poison injection, crit rush. Usually start with a venomous claw. As soon as I apply that, I dizzying swing. As they're airborne, I take flight them. So that's kind of like the main combo I do, but like my kill combo. But again, when you're in a fight, things are going to change. People are going to, if you're taking on the same opponent on a very long fight, they're going to expect that burst damage to come. So they're going to try to avoid it in different ways or whatever. So just be mindful of that, not to do the same thing over and over again. Really don't want these guys to follow me. All these low-level guys are coming out of nowhere. What the hell is this? Alright. So another thing is, like I said, after I dizzying swing, I'll hit them with the venomous claw. So you can, as they're in the air, hit them with the venomous claw, and it's just a lot easier. But I just have so much damage, they're dying. And then the reverse slice, as you can see there, is just very nice for that AoE splash. Now, probably in the future I'm going to try to make a video on light attack weaving or heavy attack weaving and how to do that. I haven't done it in a long time with uppercut. You can usually heavy attack, and then mid heavy attack you start your dizzying swing. And it kind of like cancels the animation. But again, I haven't done it in a while, so it's kind of tricky for me to do. But I'm definitely going to make a video on that for you guys. But light attack weaving and heavy attack weaving is very important, especially with dizzying swing. It kind of makes it harder for the dizzying swing to be read. Alright, so that's pretty much going to be it for the main builds. Just to double check here, I did go over my character sheet, skills, champion points, consumables, passives. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions on the builds, or if you want to change anything up or anything like that, any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know down in the comment section below. If you like the builds or would like to see more content from me, please make sure to like and subscribe. I still got a lot more builds coming, so make sure you subscribe for that. I'm gonna probably release a couple more Stamina Dragonite builds now that I've gotten into playing my Stamina Dragonite again. I really love it a lot, so you guys can look forward to that. Make sure you guys check out my Stamina Nightblade builds, my Magic Nightblade build, and I just aggroed that boss. Probably gonna die. Or not. Where did the boss go? Oh, someone else staggered it. Okay, that's fine with me. I can run away. Okay, so I'm probably gonna have some gameplay of some Battlegrounds. Now, I've been mostly doing non-CP stuff just because the Vivek campaign 30-day standard is just super laggy for me for some reason. Like, I can't escape the lag. Even when I'm all by myself taking on two or three people in a 1vx, it's just impossible for me to bar swap or maintain my buffs, or even when I have an opening to go offensive, I just screwed up so bad because of the lag. But I got non-CP gameplay of Battlegrounds, and it's a good way to like test your builds in non-CP. If it does really good in non-CP, it's gonna do even better in CP. So that's kind of the way I look at it. So I'll see you guys next time. Alright guys, so forgot to mention on when I went over my buff stats for Mundstones. Warrior and Serpent Mundstone are what I'm using. 300 stam recovery, 250 weapon damage. Other things you can go for, I definitely recommend keeping the Serpent, just because if you don't sustain, it's going to be very, very hard. Other than weapon damage, you could go like Thief for more crit chance. That would be good. That would get you closer to like 50% crit chance. You can also go with the Shadow. If you go with Shadow, I definitely recommend being a Khajiit, just because you're gonna want a higher crit chance to compensate for that higher crit damage. When you go for the Shadow, your crit rushes are gonna hit a lot harder. So if you want that more initial damage, Shadow could be good. But I think you'll lose a little bit of consistent damage output whenever you're not getting crits. Your non-crits are gonna hit like a wet noodle, I feel like. So I just go with Warrior. It's the most consistent. Alright guys, so I got some gameplay here of Battlegrounds. This is the recycled Stamina Dragonite. Again, recycled being Twiceborn Star All Divines with Impregnable. If you are just watching this gameplay and skip the builds, that is fine. Again, this can be used on any class. I'm just showing it off on the Dragonite. Alright, so this was some pretty good gameplay. I was having a lot of good gameplay on other matches. I was doing like 500 to 600,000 damage. Again, no proc sets, all just raw damage. I was having a little bit of issues just like, what's the word, targeting. I was having a hard time targeting. Like I was aiming at people and mashing abilities, and my abilities just weren't connecting, and it wasn't dodging or anything. My abilities just weren't going off. But so I had a few issues there. That was one of the cause of my only death. My group was wiped, and I had a 1v2, and I kind of choked a little bit and couldn't target properly. But as you're seeing, I'm massive AoE damage with my ultimates. I'm doing work single target. I'm putting dots on people. I'm doing a pretty good job managing stamina for the most part, keeping myself healed. Now we do have a heal battery, so just keep that in mind. But I decided to upload this one just because my team completely dominated the other two teams. I also get a quadra kill. So you guys will be able to check that out. And I'm gonna shut up and let you guys enjoy the rest of the builds, or the rest of the gameplay.